The beggar only tapped the man's head 3 times with a gourd. The next second, a 2-meter-deep footprint appeared beneath the man's feet. Watching the beggar's back as he walked away, the man immediately realized that the beggar's identity was not simple. What he didn't know was that the beggar was actually the very first headmaster of the Magic Academy. He had only left the school to search for the most powerful magic in the world and traveled everywhere. But as soon as he returned, he ran into the man who was fighting. He also discovered that this man was the perfect body to learn the most powerful magic. So he walked up, tapped the man's head 3 times with the gourd, and signaled him to come find him by the bridge that night. Without waiting for the man to speak, he left and returned to the school. At dinner that evening, the old man told the current headmaster about the magic manual, and after remembering his promise with the man, he finished his meal and left. After dinner, he left. But what he didn't know was that the headmaster, in order to keep outsiders from getting the magic manual, ordered his subordinates to notify all the magicians, planning to use a competition to recruit students to learn magic from him. Meanwhile, the man had just returned home with his wife when his father, who had learned of the competition, ordered him to divorce his wife. The wife looked at her father in shock, and after realizing what was happening, she immediately refused his demand. The father looked at the man who had practiced magic for years, yet was still useless, and humbly begged his daughter to give the man one more chance. He asked her to let him enter the magic competition and promised that if he won first place, he would allow them to be together forever. At midnight, the man went to the bridge as promised. Sure enough, when he looked up, he saw the beggar, but the next second, the beggar appeared right behind him. The man was instantly shocked and widened his eyes, unable to believe the beggar had such ability. But in the next moment, the beggar took out the magic manual from his body and handed it to the man. The man looked doubtfully at the manual in his hands and said bluntly, "Isn't this just a rag?" But the beggar didn't explain his doubts. He only used magic to strike a nearby rock with all his strength. Then, without waiting for the man to react, he left. The man looked at the rock that showed no change and thought the beggar was joking. But just as he was about to leave, the rock behind him suddenly crumbled into powder. This instantly made the man believe that the rag in his hands was actually a powerful magic manual. In the days that followed, he began studying the magic in the manual alone, but found himself becoming even more useless. He was even close to forgetting the magic he had learned before. What he didn't know was that all of this was the old man's plan. The purpose was to make him first forget his old magic, then break all the bones in his body so new bones would grow. That way, he could in a short time master the most powerful magic in the world. By then, he would become the most powerful magician in the world. Soon, the day of the competition arrived. The invited magicians all came to participate. The competition had 3 events in total, and only the first place winner could become the student of the first headmaster. The first event was to draw a bow of a set weight. Someone quickly stepped up to try, but could only pull a 400-pound bow. The wife's second brother, Jack, managed only a 500-pound bow. Next was the wife's eldest brother, Blake. He walked up and chose a 700-pound bow and easily drew it open. The son of the father's rival, James, stepped up and chose a 1,000-pound bow. Under the shocked gaze of the crowd, he drew it with ease. Even the examiners couldn't help but praise him. Soon, everyone had taken their turn. Next up was the man, but as soon as he reported his name, he was mocked by his rivals, who said if their family had such a useless person, he would have been beaten to death by the clan leader. Hearing everyone's insults, the man calmly walked to the field and chose a 100-pound bow he could normally pull. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't pull it open. His wife looked at him in confusion, but he himself didn't know what was happening. The old man, who had been watching him all along, was actually very pleased because his plan was about to succeed. The second event soon began. The challenge was to use magic to fly across a river at -200 degrees. The shortest time meant victory. Jack flew across in 7 seconds. Blake managed it in only 6 seconds. When it was James's turn, he easily did it in 3 seconds and crossed the river. James's father immediately looked proudly at his rival and declared, "This time, I will definitely win." Soon, it was the man's turn. But as soon as he lifted off, the magic he had learned failed. He fell straight straight from the sky. The referee immediately flew over and rescued him. Just as everyone thought the man would die, he actually used magic to force the freezing energy out of his body. The referee looked at him in shock, thinking there must be something wrong with the river. But when he tested it himself, he truly realized how remarkable the man was. He couldn't help but suspect that the man was pretending to be useless. Soon, the third round began. The content of the third event was actual combat. Winning this round would let one skip the first 2 rounds and become the first headmaster's student. The first to fight was James, but to everyone's shock, his magic was so vicious that he seriously injured his opponent. Even Jack and Blake together were knocked out of the arena by him. Seeing the arrogant James before him, the man angrily stepped forward, but with the man's ability, he was no match for James. Sure enough, he was quickly beaten by James, knocked to his knees, but the man refused to give up. He struggled to stand and continue fighting, but his actions only enraged James, who then shattered all the bones in his body and knocked him out of the arena. Little did anyone know, this was exactly what the beggar had spoken of, breaking his bones so they could regrow, allowing the man to instantly gain the most powerful magic. At that moment, the man instantly recovered. Just a second before the referee announced the result, he stood back on the arena.